Matt Delvecchio here, specializing in home care, elder care planning, and the senior living industry. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying your day. You know, Life Unrehearsed is aired on the last Sunday of every month now. I try to tackle topics that are affecting families as our population ages and our healthcare system is struggling to keep up. You know, there are some big decisions to be made as we grow older. As our population ages, families and their loved ones have to deal with some very challenging decisions. Do I live at home where I'm comfortable, or perhaps it might be time to consider an alternative living arrangement? There are many, many questions to ask as we age. I often hear that, I wish I had a roadmap to navigate these uncharted waters. Well, I want to bring Kirstin Bennett back in here to help us out. And just a reminder, Kirstin's an elder care planner, certified health and wellness coach, and has also served many years in the home care industry. She also holds a designation as a certified professional consultant on aging, and she provides support and guidance for families and their loved ones throughout the aging process and navigating their life transitions. Kirstin, thank you very much for sticking around. And not only are you very qualified in what you do, but you're an extremely empathetic person, and you really do want to help people, and you speak from the heart because you are yourself are a typical sandwich generation daughter, aren't you? Also dealing with your own family challenges.
Yes. For sure, Matt. I am.
Yeah, you know, you're not only providing advice, but you're living it right now, and you could really speak on behalf of many of the caregivers that you deal with. Now, prior to the show, Kirstin, you sent me a list of 4 of the biggest needs that families talk to you about as their family members get older and perhaps in need of more assistance. And the 4 items are navigating, guiding, planning, and facilitating. So let's briefly go over each one, okay, Kirstin? Starting with navigating.
Okay. Well, most often people need to know about how our health system works or how to maneuver within it, really, as well as the resources that are available to them and how to access them. So that typically is the navigation assistance.
All right. And then next, we talked about that just on the home care segment. Navigating could be a challenge for many families, constantly advocating. What about guiding?
So often the first step is really to understand the situation. So finding some clarity, really, in what the most important factors are in the short term and then for the long term. You know, this can also involve better understanding a disease process or how to prepare for future events. It can also involve really managing expectations of how the situation may evolve, you know, acceptance, timing, reminding adult children that we need to avoid parenting the parent. So that's the guiding piece, yeah.
Okay, and a big one is obviously planning.
So once we get to this phase, then it's about assessing really the unique situation and concerns and looking at ways to sort of overcome the current challenges. Planning on how to review the physical, cognitive, and overall health of a family member, planning through and understanding the financial means for care and support, identifying key family advocates and what their roles may be, and then, collaborating basically to find appropriate solutions.
All right. And the last one is facilitating.
Right. So it's really, just providing some strategies and accountability, really, to ensure steps are being taken to move that dial forward. So that's the facilitation piece.
Yeah, and always difficult, right? There's differing views of adult children or spouses. So there might be some in town and out of town. And I call sometimes the hit and runs, the adult children living out of town that want to fix it and they're 1 weekend or 1 week visit and then off they go. And now it's the other children that have to deal with it. Always challenging and always best to open those lines of communication and facilitating, just like you're saying. Talking with Kirstin Bennett here on Life Unrehearsed. And Kirstin is an elder care planning specialist, also the managing director of Premier Home Care. Now, Kirstin, we often talk about the caregiver. And so what are some of the key factors that family caregivers need to consider to help themselves and therefore help the ones they love?
Well, I think it's important to point out that family members can become caregivers overnight or over time. It's important to think about oneself in these situations and not only about the person in need of the care and support. So if you aren't in this position as of yet, then there are some things you can do to plan for it. Understand that resources are out there in the community. Educate yourself about particular diseases or conditions that you may have concerns about. understand the costs for support and funding options, be sure that legal documents are in place. I think we were talking about that before, right? Powers of attorney, protective mandates, wills, medical directives. But if you are in the thick of things, then it's really imperative to avoid caregiver burnout, because if you are the primary carer, then you need to see it from a point of view that what happens if you get sick or hurt, during your actions. So consider how this is, affecting your life. Reflect on what kind of support will be best assisting you to have the energy for your caregiver role. Put your energy into where you think you can make the greatest impact and contributions without really burning out, and really think about where others in your family, your friend circle, community, private resources can fit into the plan. Okay. Know that there are support groups out there, organizations available. I encourage you to use them. Make the time, to get some help if you need it. And I would also really remind caregivers to recognize their efforts, appreciate that they are doing what they can, even though it may never feel like it's enough, but small wins are big wins, and no matter what, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge point there. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm very happy you mentioned some community resources. During the news, we got quite a few texts, and one of them were mentioned about don't forget about our community resources, whether it's for home care or other support. As you know, I'm on the board of Nova West Island, and there's Novas in Montreal and Hudson. You're the president of the board of Abovas. And just just quickly, what is Abovas, just for those listeners that may not know what that's about?
So Abovas is an accompaniment transport volunteer organization that helps with people who require accompaniment to and from medical appointments, and also we have a social side as well. So it's people who really require accompaniment, but it really is assisting because they have volunteers, people that drive them to and from their either social outings in terms of like getting groceries, going to the bank and such, or to the medical appointments, as I mentioned. But they accompany them throughout. So it's a really great organization. There's a lot of great community organizations out there that provide support.
Yeah, really, you're doing a fantastic job, and tons of volunteers helping people with these appointments. All right, Kirstin, we're quickly running out of time. I want to thank you very much. So much more to cover. The texts are really coming in here, and it goes to show that there is a need out there. People are trying to be supportive and giving recommendations, and please advocate. And one text came in and really touches the soul here, because she does not have any children in town, and she goes, you know what? It's lonely for some seniors out there, and we're really trying to do our best to advocate, but sometimes difficult. So check in on your neighbors, make sure they're doing okay, and if they do need some help, please offer some support. Kirstin, before we leave, how can people get a hold of you as Managing Director of Premier Home Care?
Well, that's very kind of you. So, we have our website, premierhomecare.ca, or you can email me, info@premierhomecare.ca. And you can also give us a call, 514-718-6553, and we'll be happy to help out as best we can.
All right, Kirstin, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that's Kirstin Bennett, elder care planner, certified professional consultant on aging, and the managing director of Premier Home Care.